world and the journey to awakening with beloved. See, she's on this switch side on my hands, but she's on that side. And we were just discussing as we were getting ready here that this is a new moon portal in Scorpio.
Yes.
The last time we talked about the full moon, an awakening, and the Scorpio was just coming in the shadows. That was like a couple weeks ago. And now we got this new moon and new beginning, and we're coming into, well, in the United States, it's America Thanksgiving next week, right?
It is. Yes, a week from Thursday. Yoo-hoo.
So many great things. Actually, I have to post. I took a picture out in front of my place today of 2 trees. One is totally bare.
Yeah.
And the other one is still full of leaves. And it's like pretty much everything is lost its leaves. We've got but this tree is still full. And I was just looking at it and going, yeah, you're playing by your own rules.
You got the alpha and the omega right there. That's wonderful. That's so nice. I like playing by your own rules. That's always that's a good way to play, I think.
Well, I think probably, or I feel from what I know of you, you've lived by your own rules most of your life, which have come from your guidance.
Yes, very much. I get up every day, and the first thing I do is reconnect. I say, okay, Divine Mother, Father, friend, beloved God, I reconnect to you consciously. Bring me back. And then I come fully back into my body. Mm-hmm. And then I have this thing I do that's called morning greeting. And it's about the way I come into the physical, because I believe that at night when we slumber, we're not in our bodies. We're out in the cosmos someplace. So I'm the ease and grace girl, and I like gentle landings. So so it's a great way. It's a wonderful way to come back in and reconnect with 3D, with the third dimensional world, and bringing everything consciously back in. Yeah, back in the inner guidance. It's a joy doing your inner guidance, doing your work in your group and your experience. It's really fun.
Well, I'm glad. I just feel like there's so much shifting. Just we're talking about the journey to awakening, that this is like, I feel that we've talked about this, that the production is already designed, right? And people just need to pick up the scripts.
Read those scripts.
Read those scripts. And especially on your way to Thanksgiving dinner, okay? Pick up the one that works for you, okay? Versus the one from the past production that, they've already closed down Broadway on. This is a new one.
This is the one that says, I will be nice. I will just, in the South, we have a saying, if there's something that we might say about someone that's not so nice, mm-hmm. or if there's someone in our family or our friendhood that's not vibing with us, that's not a good match, we say, bless his heart. So we can remember that, to really be blessing his heart or her heart, or, oh my gosh, I remember all those years ago when Thomas wasn't very nice to me, and now I have to sit next to him at the table. Bless his heart. And, it's a way of saying it. Of course, often it's said in a very sarcastic way, shall we say, a bit of humor. But really, when we say the words, it's still sending that energy out. Right? Bless his heart. Bless her heart.
And it probably came originally from that idea of being present and saying, bless his heart, right? Totally intentionally saying, there's some discomfort.
Yes.
So bless his heart. And then we've just allowed this idea of it's like the same thing I find with saying grace, you know, in or a blessing over your food is then I know in my house that I grew up in, it started to be like, well, we're not religious, so we're not doing this. But what I feel is it's like the saying the blessing is one, it's extending gratitude, but I feel when you're actually blessing your food, it's like you're changing the vibration of it. And that's my experience is I can eat something because I did the organic, all that stuff for a while. And then we did like white bread, corn flour, GMO, you know, we just tested it out to see how different we would feel. But the difference was we blessed everything, completely blessed everything. And there was zero change in our health. So to me, that gave me the feeling that vibration is much more powerful than what I'm thinking about what I'm eating.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't label myself as religious, but I label myself as spiritually conscious and connected to the divine. You know, however one understands that, I have my own understanding. And every moment of my life is connected to the divine.
Yeah.
So blessing everything and blessing food. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. That changes the vibration. It absolutely does. It's amazing. I also keep on my stove, I keep a small tea set, and I have for myself right there a drawing of Buddha. And I call that's my Buddha bowl. So before the food goes onto the plate, it goes onto this little tea set and it's blessings. So I do blessings when I cook as well. Because when we're cooking, we have a relationship with the food that we're preparing. And so then it becomes a gift and a holy gift, a divine gift. So when I'm cooking, I see that as a very Zen-like art. And my intention is to stay fully present when I'm preparing food. And that becomes a creation. And then I open my heart and I'm blessing it at the same time. Then I am giving blessings. And the other person doesn't have to know that.
Right.
You know, but I feel like that's one way of doing my part.
Well,
in the vibes.
Yeah. And just listening to you share that, beloved, is presence, right? It is listening to you. For anybody that else is listening, you just feel this sense of presence that yes, if I have this loving blessing towards my food, it's different than how so many people, you know, in North America, I'll include us too, are going through the fast food line.
Yes.
Right? They're grabbing something because it's cheaper in some cases, right? And they're thinking that same way that I know this isn't good for me, but that's all I have time for, or this is all I can afford. And hence they have other health issues usually because of it. Right? So if you just roll this tape back again.
Yeah, just roll it back and just make sure you bless it.
And just like be present to how present beloved is as she's engaging with her food, which is coming into American Thanksgiving and the holidays. So it's really a part of the intention of what are you bringing in as a spiritual being to your family?
Yes. And that's a big one. And what are you bringing to your food? I want to back up for 1 second to pick up something that you said. Okay. Yes. Many people are going through the fast food line and then saying, oh, I know this isn't healthy for me. Oh, cancel, clear, delete. I'm going through the fast food line. Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky that I have so much going on right now that I know that I'm hungry and I need some nourishment. I'm not going to take the time right now to prepare something. How blessed I am that there's a place I can go, stay in my car, place my order, pick it up at the window, and enjoy every bite. Even if this is something I don't usually enjoy, I am just going to enjoy this. How lovely and how lucky I am to live in a place like this. That's a whole different vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important thing. Like you said, in the US, we're going into Thanksgiving and we're beginning the holiday season everywhere.
Yeah.
So, do you know how many people will go to the table and say, oh God, I never eat this, but there's that pumpkin pie. Oh God, every ounce I should never, oh my God, I can't believe I'm eating sugar. Oh my God. Oh, yes, I'll have another glass of wine, please. Oh my God, I'm on my second glass of wine. You know how much sugar in that wine? Thank you so much. Okay, look, here's the deal. Enjoy it.
Right.
Anything you put into your mouth at any given time, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, because if you're condemning it, that's the vibration you just put in there.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why would you bring something into your heavenly temple, your
Mm-hmm.
holy temple, which I believe our physical bodies are?
Right.
Why would you take something into that, cursing it the whole time? Oh my God, I shouldn't do this. Hello. And I think that we just don't think, it's not that we don't know. I mean, I think this is something most people know. But at the time,
I don't think they know it. I honestly don't think they know it, beloved. If you're saying you think they know that by negative talk about their food is bad for them, I don't think they do. I think they just still are in that, most of them are in that story that if they're a spiritual, more so personally, if you're a spiritual being or connected, you're only going to eat organic, raw foods. You're going to juice, and so they create that box for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if even science, I think has proven, like, as if we need science to prove it, but the French women are smaller in sizes than traditionally women in anywhere, in other Western part of the world. And they eat these rich, creamy French desserts.
They're so yummy.
Butter croissants, right? You were over there, and they drink their wine, but they might not eat the whole thing, but they're enjoying it, they're savoring it, they're loving their experience, which is whole different, as you said, than going, 100 calories, 5 grams of fat, corn syrup. No. Hi, Melody. Hey. Okay. Melody says, yes, please. Replay. Yes, you might well be. What did she say? Because you're eating it anyways, right? Exactly.
That's right. I mean, yeah, that's a really important thing. I think I live a tantric life. And by me, that, people think of Tantra as a sexual thing, right? But for me, it's about experiencing all the experiences that we have, and experiencing them in joy, in delight, and really becoming aware, aware of textures, aware of tastes, aware of sounds. And eating can be one of the most tantric experiences there are. And this can be alone. I mean, we don't have to play 9.5 weeks, although that's very nice. But when you
right,
when you put something into your mouth, take the time to feel it. You know, feel it on your tongue. Feel it in your mouth. And then feel it as you're chewing it. And as your teeth touch it. You know, what does that feel like? Because you are giving your temple a gift. So be fully present. You know, just, yeah. It's about being fully present. And
you could do a little clip and post it in the group you're going to be talking about for people just to remind them, okay, so when you're going to go to the table now, just take this with you, being present, just as you're describing it. They'll be feeling so good. They'll just be like, yum.
See, there you go. That's a great idea. I think I will do that. Thank you for that. Yeah, because it is important. I mean, it's an important thing. And it's important to take time. Take time with your meal instead of rushing through. So, yeah.
We weren't never talked that we were even going to talk food, but I think this is just so relevant because so much of the holidays is all about food. Because, you know, in other cultures, like European, so much of everything, it revolves around food and gathering around the table. And in North America, we've made it more about, in so many ways, that food has got so many negative effects to it, right? Don't eat too much. You know, is it gluten-free? Is it not gluten-free? You know, I remember that movie, The Last Holiday, when what's her name? She orders, like, she thinks she's dying, so she orders like 7 meals of fully French, you know, cooking or whatever. And the other table that is being so structured is ordering, okay, I need, you know, no dairy, no gluten, no this, no that, no that. And the chef's like, forget it. If you're eating with her, you're getting it all. There's no substitutes. But it's the experience. And I think you're really, really clear on sharing that. And I feel that's a gift if, again, people just replay or as you post it, as you want to talk about what you're planning to do to help support people for the holidays.
Yes. I have just created a Facebook group and it's called High Vibe Holiday Survival Circle. So there's so many people for the holidays that kind of get off their track. They feel out of balance. They're losing their own structure, you know, their own self-care. They're so busy and they're doing things. A lot of empaths are picking up things from other people, and I adore the holidays. I absolutely love them. So I guess it was last week, Spirit came in and said, okay, we're inviting you to create a group that will assist people that consider themselves high vibrational beings in maintaining those high vibes through the holidays as they are going to different experiences and different places and just being out in public and maybe sitting with families that they don't usually see, where they don't all understand each other on the same plane. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. So.
Well, it's definitely something that I think can be needed by a lot of people, because I was sharing with you the one thought that always stayed with me from, it was probably, I don't know, over 25 years ago. It was in the foreword of Shirley MacLaine's book. And it was, just when I feel like I understand the whole universe, I go home and have Thanksgiving dinner with my family. And I think we get to that space, and so many people, it's not just that I think a lot of people, and I did before, because I felt like I was the spiritual one and the rest of the family hadn't adjusted,
Mm-hmm.
that there was this element of judgment that somehow I was better than them, and hence because of that, that brought in this energy to the table. And then we're bringing up all, because I'm still really carrying all my wounds, even though I'm pretending that I've transcended them all, right? Because I'm a spiritual being now.
That's right. Oh, I did the class.
Yes, I have and hence it's still like you take it and you throw it out on the table, but you go like, it's not mine.
That's right.
It's all yours. And if you guys would all just change and get to spiritual like me, we'd have a happy table.
That's right. That's right. It does get so crazy for so many people. And as we're awakening, as we're on this journey to awakening, and as we're expanding and bringing in more of who we are, and our vibrations are changing, then things that are in our life, they don't quite fit anymore. Yeah. So we end up walking away from relationships, from romantic relationships if we haven't grown together, our jobs, we walk away from so many things. But how do you walk away from family? I mean, how do you do that? Well, that's easy. Just don't get together very often. That's what a lot of people tell me, right? Well, I've divorced my mother. I don't see her.
Right.
Yeah, and that works, 50 weeks a year? And then it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Then it's Christmas. Then it's Hanukkah. Then it's Kwanzaa.
Right.
It's whatever it is. There you are again. And are you going to choose to come back and be at one another's table, at one another's tree, at one another's menorah? What are you going to do? And those are big choices. Those are big choices. I know for a lot of adults, a lot of friends that I have, when they go back to their home for the holidays, if they're not the one hosting, they're back. They're a child again, because that's the way they're treated in their parents' home. Because we're stepping into someone else's home, someone else's ground rules. Excuse me. Someone else's expectations.
That was a very
I know this is truth. I know this is truth because that's the throat chakra.
Yeah, that was it. That was like, that's the truth, going into someone else's roles.
So, these are things that come up, and they do come up. And we might be parents on our own with our own kids. And now the whole entourage is back at grandma's. Yeah. Or we have our home, and the way we've set that up, it's our sanctuary. I get up in the morning, I meditate, I do my yoga, I journal. Oh my goodness, now I've got a house full. How do I navigate that? Right? I mean, how does that happen? So regardless of where we are in life, how we are with our families, whether we're a parent, whether we're a child, whether we're sister, brother, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And for a lot of us, we've created our own families. When my husband was still on planet, and we were teaching at the university, not everyone went home for the holidays. So our Thanksgiving began the first year we did it. Our children were little, so we'd have students that were single came.
Right. Yeah.
And a couple of faculty people who were single, and everybody brought something, and we provided the turkey, and it was wonderful.
Right.
Well, the next year, those single people weren't single anymore. But we can still come to your Thanksgiving, right? Well, after so many years, we ended up 3 turkeys, all day event, 60 people, 65 people, never knew what was on the table. Everybody brought something. It was absolutely fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, I was very precise about things on my table, not the
Right.
food. I prepare one dish that I absolutely adore, and so I always do that. But I liked my napkins wrapped around my flatware and tied with bows, and my kids and I would stay up the night before and do all of that. And then they went into a particular basket. And then there were plate chargers, and my table had a certain, what I thought
Right.
was grace or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was what felt right to me. This is
Right.
a holiday. Well, that didn't last very long, you know? And so I had to step back
Mm-hmm.
and say, well, wait a second, is that important?
Right.
What's the important thing here? Oh, the important thing is the friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would bring instruments and music and all of that, and they just began to. We never even knew who was coming. It ended up being like an open house,
Right.
and it was wonderful. It was fun. It was, flowy. Once I let go of my expectations on how things would be.
Yeah, that's a key one.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. Is our, I like to call it our Norman Rockwell. I know we talked about that last week. Do we have expectations? Right? And a lot of those expectations are on the table and on the food and the presentation. So.
And that probably, in a sense, Melody, answers your question. Melody was saying, why do you think parents treat their kids, adults still, as children? And I think that fits into expectations, right? It is this, especially if you're going back to the home where you grew up in,
Yeah.
right? It's that your parents' home. If it's the same home, right? They have, some people still have the same bedroom set aside. They know that you grew up in that bedroom, and they're still calling it, that's George's bedroom over there, right? So they only see you as a child. The benefit of us, because all of us here, we're all mothers, is when you raise your child to let them go,
Mm-hmm.
and you recognize they are an adult,
Yes.
then it's a different experience. But I think just as adults go back and revert back and go, oh, mom, right? Mom can do the same thing and say, okay.
Yes, I think that does happen. I'm at an interesting time of life because I stay with my mom a few days a week. Mm-hmm. And my mother is now 92, and she's absolutely amazing, but she is forgetting things. And she said to me the other day, it's an interesting time of life, isn't it? Where you've become the parent and I've become the child. And I never wanted to do that.
Right.
It was never my intention.
Mm-hmm.
But I notice even when her therapists are there, because she's recovering from some back surgery, even when her therapists are there, if I'm in the room, she defers to me.
Mm.
And the other day I was in the kitchen, and the therapist and my mom were sitting at the kitchen table. This is at my mother's.
Right.
And the therapist asked my mother if she had taken a pain pill, her pill for pain. And she turned around and looked at me and said, did I take that? And her therapist was wonderful. Her therapist said, Doris, let's pretend that Kate Beloved is not here.
Right.
And so it's just an interesting thing. She had to refocus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens, we go back to our parents' home for some of us, and right back into that bedroom and right back into the kid, right back into the kid. And those are the expectations. Those are the roles, And then, oh my goodness, you walk back into your home, to grandma's home, grandpa's home,
Right.
with your children, and maybe you have guidelines for your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're different than the guidelines your parents have
Right.
for your kids. I have a rule. What happens, because I'm a grandmother, I have 12 beautiful grandchildren. What happens at grandmother's stays at grandmother's.
Yeah.
And my kids know that. My kids know. I understand you have guidelines and rules.
Mm-hmm.
No. And it usually has to do with sugar.
Right.
I keep sugar out for myself, but let me tell you, when my kids are there, my grandkids, there is movie night with root beer floats. And we go to the store and they can choose whatever ice creams they want. Then we go choose the video store. They choose whatever movies they want. And then popcorn. So, but everybody knows it. I think as long as everyone knows the guidelines. So that's another thing, that if we have openness with our families, we can talk about that. We can talk about those guidelines. So other than just saying, okay, we're going back to grandmother's, and I just overlook it. I mean, there's that kind of thing too.
Let's just get through it.
Right?
Right. No. Yeah. Stuff does come up. We can go into that one. That's probably a whole other, like, as we extend this conversation out. But next Thursday a week tomorrow is American Thanksgiving, right? So we'll have an opportunity the day before. So we're also, just to close off here, it's the new moon in Scorpio. So is there anything, as we're getting this new moon in the sign that's coming up from the rock as we're approaching the holidays?
Yes, it is. Scorpio. For American Thanksgiving, once we actually go into Thanksgiving, we will be in Sag, which is the peacemaker. But we've got all the preparations right now. This is, I don't know if you can see this. This is one of my paintings.
Oh, nice.
So
it's very tantric.
It's very tantric, but it has a lot to do with Scorpio, right? Because Scorpio is about looking at our shadows.
Mm-hmm.
It's about going to the depths, going down, going in. So holiday preparation is an amazing time for that. But when it comes to new moon, it's about rebirthing, it's about creating, it's about just bringing forth, it's about reconciling. And our archangel for that is Jeremiah, or Jeremiah, some people like to say. And Jeremiah loves to go down into the shadows, navigates them very, very well. Yeah, in and out, and in and out. And so you can call on Archangel Jeremiah. Also, the major arcana from the Angel Tarot deck is renewal. So if we can remember that this is a time of renewal, which happens to be new moon, because this is for the sign of Scorpio, but it's not always new moon. So here we are, so So yeah, I invite you to take some time and go to your quiet time. If you want to look at my ceremony, you know that that's available to you free on my website, and that we'll put that down in the comments. But we're in the portal. The door is open. New moon is actually on the 18th in the US. And it's a time for really recreating what do you want in your life right now. Scorpio is one of the most potent, powerful signs that there are. And one reason I wanted to show that particular painting is because it's a coming together. It's fire. It's joining.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's merging. And although the painting is very Tantra-like, it's about merging ourselves, you know, merging the whole of ourselves. And what better time to set that up? What better time to set that up as a creation than the new moon and the new moon in Scorpio? Make friends with your shadows. Bring them to light. You know, bring them to light.
So I would encourage the people that know they're going to American Thanksgiving. We're just going to talk about it. I know other places in the world we're moving into, you know, we've already had our Thanksgiving, but we'll just talk in this case right now to everybody there in the US. So if you know you have an issue from the past pertaining to a family member or whatever, lay it out on the table, your table now, and look at how could you shift that? What would be a new way of being? How are you empowered by this situation? If this person over here that you're claiming is the situation is teaching you something, what could they teach you? And in this new moon stage, create the intention of it being new, and then let it go and surrender and show up at the table and see how your family dynamic is.
Absolutely. Because the change comes from us.
Yeah.
The change comes from us. So that's great advice, Jacqueline, and it's a perfect time to do that.
So we wish you all the letting go that you can right now, and taking in the new beginning, and rewatch this, because I think if you really watch this, there's this whole very, very erotic, tantric, sexual feel about this whole conversation that Beloved is sharing about getting present to how grateful and amazing every experience is. And in that grace that she is demonstrating, you can feel it and own it and send it out yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So have a great week doing that.
And you will post when on here, beloved.com, about the group if anybody's interested in joining too, right? And
yes,
participating in the High Vibes Survival Club.
Yes, yes. Please come join our Facebook group for surviving the holidays in your highest vibration.
Yay!
Thank you, beautiful Jacqueline.
Thank you. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Melody. Bye, everybody else.
Yes.